Hello everyone, it's Carla the Cosmic Crone, and we are here today for the Pisces full moon divine feminine astrology reading. I'm checking my tripod here to make sure it stays in one piece. Never mind, it's not going to move. Okay, let's get the reading done because guess what? We have an exquisite day here in Maine. It is the harvest moon. The Pisces full moon is the harvest moon, the full moon closest to the equinox, which is next Wednesday. So the full moon itself is the 20th of September at 7:55 p.m. That would be tomorrow night, just a little over 24 hours. The sun is at 28:14 Virgo. The moon is at 28:14 Pisces. Oh, wow. There's a whole lot going on in this chart, as there always is. Virgo, the sign of the priestess. Very much a gatherer. Virgo is, she harvests what is sown, both in the cosmic realm and the earthly realm. She has, her work is a go-between, is to manage the energy and the communication between the mundane world of form, everyday life, and the world of spirit, of divine, of heaven, of the unseen. This is the Virgo sun. And the moon in Pisces is oceanic, galactic, emotional resonance, deep intuition, knowing, metaphors popping like crazy, growth that is deep-rooted in the unconscious, healing that is deep-rooted in the unconscious, your unconscious, so that it's a wonderful time during this full moon to go into deep meditation, go into journeying. A drum journey would be beautiful under the full moon. I like to do that anyway. If I can do it with a circle, it's lovely, but if not, I do it on my own and invoke the circle there in my painting. I'm part of circles around the world, and online, offline, real life, local. But I go out under the full moon sometimes just by myself and connect with all of them. So working with the drum or the rattle or a journey or deep meditation, breath work, and let yourself go super, super deep to find out what is ready to be rearranged. There's been a ton of talk in my world about things that I don't exactly, it's not my first language. Things like 5D and ascension and the shift that's going on in the world and how we as light workers, feminine leaders, wise women, wise humans are shifting inside of us so that we can show up in this world in a place of leadership and healing. That is a real thing, and I speak of it in terms of feminine wisdom, womb wisdom, feminine power. And one of the reasons I work with divine feminine astrology is to connect to the voices of the feminine that come through. It opens up another perspective when you look at divine feminine points. And the divine feminine points are busy here. What have we got going on? Well, the biggest thing that's happening tomorrow, and I'll bet, ooh, I didn't look. I think I'm going to open this up and look. Hang on a second. Tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, and it might even have already happened today, Vesta is moving from Libra into Scorpio. Vesta in Scorpio, womb priestess, sacred sexual priestess. A few years ago, the term sacred prostitute was popular, referring to the priestesses of the goddess who worked with sexual and orgasmic energy. Now, as it turns out, it's been revealed to me in my work that everyone who is officiating ritual and ceremony, who is doing healing work, is working with orgasmic energy. You may not approach sexuality in your work at all, but if you are working with that core energy that connects you from the earth through your body to the divine, you're working with orgasmic energy. So Vesta, as in Scorpio, she is very directly working ritually with the unseen, unconscious, unspeakable. Sex, death, money. Those are the realms of Scorpio. So there will be more about that later. We are setting the tone. It's coming at the exact same moment. Let me look something up here. I have been so busy with this harvest moon with vegetables and tomatoes and putting things up for the winter, and now foraging for mushrooms. I've been very much harvesting what I sowed earlier this year, metaphorically, internally, spiritually, and literally. So I'm just going to take a look. I got some things to catch up with here. Oh, I have a lot to catch up with. I'm just going to look at the chart of the moment. Bear with me. I usually think of this stuff ahead of time, but I didn't. So I have to go all the way over here. Be right with you. So what have we got? Where is Scorpio? Nope, she's half a degree away. 2934. So sometime tomorrow, maybe I'll look it up, but maybe around dawn, maybe around noon, Vesta is going to cross over into Scorpio, where she will join Mary Magdalena, and she will join Venus, who are already both of them in Scorpio. So there's a lot of divine feminine energy in Scorpio, and before we can turn around twice, as my mom used to say, Mercury will be joining them. So what does Scorpio have to teach us right now? And what does the divine feminine bring to this Scorpio energy? You have feminine Christ consciousness, the great teacher of wisdom, Mary Magdalene, and the Queen of Heaven, the bright and shining one, evening star at this time. And that's Venus and Vesta. It's a good time for sexual healing. A lot of what shuts people down is wounding around sexuality. And certainly the universal wounding of the patriarchy, of not being taught about this power. And it is so much more than just what happens with our bodies, what happens between our legs, what happens in bed with a lover. It's very much related to our desires, our emotions, our intuition, our connection, our embodiment of everything, our embodiment of desire, our embodiment of spirit, our embodiment of wisdom. Scorpio is a place for that. And when these goddesses are there, they are saying, let us show you how to connect. Let us bring this out of the shadows and let's shift your relationship with these things that your culture has given you so much shame and secrecy about, and so much misinformation. So pretty much there is what we call a T-square going on at the time of this full moon, and it is picking up all of this early Scorpio energy. These three goddesses are connecting to the stuff that is happening in Aquarius and across in Taurus. So what have we got? We've got Taurus and late Aries. So on the one hand, we've got this divine feminine in Scorpio plus Mercury in late Libra, getting cranked up to go retrograde. I didn't look up when retrograde happens, but at some point in Scorpio, I think he touches Scorpio and then turns retrograde, I believe, but I could be wrong. I haven't looked that up. But in any case, he is square Pluto. Vesta is square Chariklo. Magdalena and Venus are square Saturn. And those are all square Albion and Uranus. And shifting around, they are also connecting to Black Moon Lilith and the North Node and Algol. So, oh, I'm actually looking, my dyslexia kicked in, excuse me. The ones I meant to look at for this one, this square, are Hecate and Eris. Yeah, so Hecate and Eris are the ones who are making the T-square with all that feminine energy in early Scorpio and late Libra. So what does that mean? That's kind of interesting. You've got the crone, you've got Hecate, who is such a deep-rooted witch energy, a mastery of alchemy, a mastery of the art of decision. We call her the crone at the crossroads. She's very, very old. She, in some ways, she's like a dare. She says, I dare you to choose. Stand here in your courage and make a decision. No one's going to do it for you. And then she's there with Eris, who is completing her series of squares to Pluto that have lasted several years. And Eris is discord and chaos. So we stand in the middle of discord and chaos and try to figure out what the heck we're supposed to do, when in reality, making a decision clears the discord and chaos. It gives us a direction. It gives us a way to go. Decision is air energy. It is the blade. It cuts through everything that is not related to the decision. And it sets your feet on a path. So if you want to clear chaos, stand in the center. Find the still space in the middle of the chaos and the discord. This is where knowing your womb wisdom, your womb magic, knowing how to know your desire, knowing how to connect the womb and heart and the root and the mind and ultimately your voice. This is where that becomes really important, because in the midst of discord and confusion and chaos, you can still know exactly who you are and exactly why you're here. And you can tap into that wisdom standing there at the crossroads, and you can feel which is the way to go. And ultimately you'll realize that you can choose any way and you will get to your destination. And the worst mistake most of us make is a failure to choose. Or we allow other people to choose on our behalf. Other people make the decisions. Other people tell us what to do. Other people make their decisions and leave us holding the bag. You know, whatever mess, whatever confusion. And when you've got those planets opposite Mercury, opposite Vesta, clear communication. First, from spirit to you, so listen, and the center is where you listen. And then from you to someone else. Who do you need to tell? Who do you need to express yourself to? Who do you need to ask for help? Who do you need to lay a boundary down with? Who do you need to change in their presence? We don't change other people, but when we've had enough, when we know it's time for change, then we change ourselves. And a lot of times we change ourselves, but we fail to tell the other people in our lives that we've changed. And before you know it, we're back in the rut again, because they're expecting us to be who we were, and we have our conditioned responses to doing what they expect, what we've been trained to do all our lives. So this is the other side. You're on the other side of decision, so what happens? You change, and all of a sudden, there's chaos in your world, because the people that you've been in relationship with are now in relationship with a different person. And if you stick to your guns, stick to your, let your will and your voice be true, they're not going to recognize you. They're not going to know how to act. And then you get to do this whole dance of, wait a minute, I thought, you know, everybody changes because you change. So this full moon is doing that dance. And to come back to the metaphor of harvest, we are still very much in the Lammas season, the Lunasa season, which goes all the way to equinox. And then it goes all the way to Samhain. Equinox is still within the Lunasa season because we are harvesting. Lunasa is the first harvest, and now equinox is the next harvest, and we keep harvesting until, well, the final harvest represents death, and that is Samhain. So we put the harvest to bed, and we honor those that have gone on before, that have been harvested by spirit. I get ahead of myself. We've got a solid 6 weeks before we're talking about that. So let's look and see if there's anything else amazing going on. And of course there is. This is important for our time. We have the great attractor in an exact conjunction with Juno. And since we are now certainly in the United States and probably elsewhere in the world, yes, definitely elsewhere in the world, we are once again in a war on women, a war on women's right to choose, women's autonomy, women's power over their own bodies, our own destinies. Juno is the goddess of that. She is for social justice, especially related to women and children. She is for the sacred marriage. She is for the journey, the initiation journey of woman. So she is so many things all wrapped up in one goddess related to the sovereignty of the individual woman and the sovereignty, I guess the bellwether is a word that comes up, of what's good, what is to the highest benefit of women and children is to the highest benefit of society. And we have to remember that. This is one of the great turning points of our world. If we are thinking to what is good for mothers, what is good for women, what is good for children, what is good for babies, then we're thinking about what is good for the earth and what is good for society. And all of society rises on this. It both rises and it adjusts around this truth, this value system. Because if we look at a construct and say that an institution or corporation, a money-making body, a corrupt system that would destroy the earth for $1, that puts profits before people, that puts highways before health, that basically has that does not understand that life is the great giver, and if you give back to life, you will live abundantly for generations to come. See, this is where we have a lot of remembering to do. And this is where the goddess speaks to both men and women and everyone else. The goddess speaks of this, and she shows us how to step forward, how to get our values and our actions and our society, our community, our decisions aligned with what is good for life. So Juno represents all that, and she at the moment is, well, she's completing an opposition to Ceres, and Ceres, moving rather quickly, will probably be in opposition to these two. So she's with the great attractor, which is like the feminine divine, the great void of the divine feminine, way out beyond our galaxy. So she is tapping into something really deep and pulling strength from that and bringing it into our consciousness. She is awakening a new level of consciousness, a deep remembering of what life really means and how we humans are in this intimate relationship with nature, with life, with the earth, with one another. And then looking at that opposition to Ceres, looking at a square to Nessus, that's actually becoming a T-square, again, between Nessus, Ceres, Juno, and the great attractor. So that says, Nessus is all about the buck stops here, and it tends to work in individual lives around the history of trauma and abuse, and how to heal it, how to stop the patterns. So we are looking at this more globally. We are looking at it as a way that the earth is determined that she will do whatever it takes to heal. She is bigger than all of us. And we are doing great harm as a species with the decisions that we are making every day, both personally and corporately. And so now, at this very moment, at this harvest full moon, this is the moment where we say, Earth first. Women and children first, of all the species, not just humans. Get the keystone and the root of our society, get that aligned with life, shift the values, and we will harvest a future. We will be able to harvest what we planted. Right now we harvest what we planted. It's poison. But we are gradually, intensely, and we can't be too gradual. We actually have to be incredibly conscious and be ready for the shift and make our changes, our personal changes in our own lives, and then our changes to society. And changing in our own lives comes first. Self-healing is societal healing. Self-transformation transforms society. Self-awakening, self-consciousness shifts the consciousness of everybody on the planet. So this harvest moon in Pisces it's a time to stand out under the moon with your drum, shift your consciousness, go deep, allow that Piscean oceanic galactic energy to come up, allow Nessus to take a good long look at what needs to change inside of you. What can you no longer hide? What can you no longer afford to keep hiding? And then work with the divine feminine energy in Scorpio, in Aries, in Taurus, Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. All of this energy has been preparing us for this moment. So I'd love for you in the next 24 hours or 48 hours for you to do your drumming, your rattling, your ritual, your meditation, your dance under the full moon, and come back and tell me what came up. I'll make a thread in the Womb Wisdom portal for you. And as always, I have a couple of spaces left to do Divine Feminine Astrology readings in the month of September. So if this is something you are ready for, reach out to me, send me a message, put a star emoji in the comments, and I will get back to you and let you know how to do that. I'll put the link to sign up for that in the comments as well. So many blessings to you, blessed full moon, blessed equinox, and I will see you in the fall.